The summer night was hot and quiet. Tiho sat on the wooden floor of his old farmhouse, drinking cold barley tea and listening to the insects sing in the darkness. The rice fields stretched out in every direction, green and heavy with water. The moon was bright and the stars were clear. It was a peaceful night, the kind of night his father used to love. Tiho was 34 years old. He lived alone on this farm. His parents had died 3 years ago, one after the other, like candles blown out by the same wind. Now it was just him, the fields, and the old tractor that broke down every other week. He was about to go inside and sleep when he saw it. A light appeared in the sky. It was not a star. It was not a plane. It moved too fast and too strange. It was silver and bright like a coin spinning through the darkness, and it was falling. Tiho stood up slowly. He watched the light grow bigger and brighter. It made no sound at first. Then came a terrible noise, like thunder mixed with metal screaming. The light shot across the sky and crashed into his eastern rice paddy with a sound that shook the ground under his feet. Water and mud flew into the air. Steam rose in a thick white cloud. The insects stopped singing. Everything went silent. Tiho stood frozen for a long moment. His heart was beating fast. His hands were shaking. He thought about calling someone, the police, the fire department, anyone. But the nearest town was 30 minutes away, and by the time they came, whatever had fallen would be gone or dead or dangerous. He went inside and grabbed his father's old shotgun. He also took a flashlight. Then he walked toward the crash. The mud was thick and warm under his boots. The steam made it hard to see. He moved slowly, pointing his flashlight into the white cloud, looking for the thing that had fallen from the sky. He found it in the middle of the paddy. It was not a meteor, it was not a satellite, it was a machine. The machine was small, about the size of a motorcycle. It was made of metal that looked like silver but felt wrong when he touched it. The surface was too smooth, too cold. There were no bolts, no seams, no welding marks. It looked like it had been grown, not built. Half of it was buried in the mud. Smoke came from a crack on its side. Strange lights blinked weakly along its surface, blue and purple, like dying fireflies. Tiho stared at it. He had fixed many things in his life: tractors, trucks, water pumps, rice planters, but he had never seen anything like this. This was not from Earth. He knew it in his bones. Then he heard the breathing. He turned his flashlight to the left, and he saw her. A woman lay in the mud, half in the water, half out. She was wearing strange clothes, dark and tight, like a suit made of shadows. Her skin was pale, so pale it almost glowed in the moonlight. Her hair was black and long, spread around her head like spilled ink. She was beautiful, but there was something wrong about her beauty, something that made the hair on the back of Tiho's neck stand up. He moved closer. He pointed the shotgun at her just in case, but she did not move. Her eyes were closed. Her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive but hurt. Tiho looked at her for a long time. He thought about what to do. He could leave her here. He could call the government. He could pretend he never saw anything and go back to bed. But his father's voice was in his head. The voice that had taught him to fix engines and plant rice and treat every stranger with respect. The voice that said a man who will not help someone in need does not deserve help when his own need comes. Tiho put down the shotgun. He bent down and lifted the woman from the mud. She was light, lighter than she should be, like her bones were made of something other than bone. Her skin was cold against his hands, very cold, like touching a window in winter. He carried her to his farmhouse. He laid her on the guest bed, the one his mother used to prepare for visitors who never came anymore. He covered her with a blanket and wiped the mud from her face. Then he went back outside. The machine was still there, smoking and blinking. He could not leave it in the rice paddy. The water would ruin the crops and someone might see it when the sun came up. It took him 2 hours to drag it to his barn. He used ropes and wooden boards and the old tractor that somehow decided to work tonight. By the time he got it inside, his back was screaming and his clothes were black with mud. He stood in the barn looking at the machine. The strange lights were almost dead now, just a faint glow here and there. He reached out and touched it again. The metal was warm now, not cold, like it was alive, like it was breathing. T-Ho shook his head. He was tired. He was imagining things. He needed sleep. He went back to the house. The woman was still unconscious, but her breathing was stronger now. Her eyes moved under her closed lids like she was dreaming. He sat in a chair beside the bed and watched her. He did not know who she was. He did not know where she came from. He did not know why she had fallen from the sky. But he knew one thing. Tomorrow he would fix her machine. Because that is what T-Ho did. He fixed things. Broken tractors, broken pumps, broken fences, and now apparently broken spaceships. He closed his eyes and slept in the chair, the shotgun on his lap, waiting for morning to come. The woman's eyes opened once in the night. They reflected the moonlight like a cat's eyes, bright and golden. She looked at the man sleeping in the chair. She looked at his rough hands and his simple clothes and his tired face. She had traveled across 1,000 stars. She had seen 100 worlds, but she had never seen anything quite like this. A human who helped without asking why. She closed her eyes again and let herself rest. For the first time in many years, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Safe. But safety was an illusion, and she was not what she appeared to be. The hunger was still there deep inside her, waiting, watching. Soon she would have to feed. The woman woke up when the sun was setting. She sat up slowly, looking around the small room with her strange golden eyes. Everything confused her. The wooden walls, the paper doors, the smell of rice cooking somewhere in the house. T-Ho heard her moving and came to the door. He stood there, watching her carefully. In the evening light, she looked even more strange than before. Her skin was white like paper. Her eyes caught the light in a way that was not human. "You are awake," he said. She looked at him. "Where am I?" "My farm in Korea on Earth." He paused. "You came from the sky. Your machine crashed in my rice field." The woman was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke again. Her Korean was broken and strange, like she had learned it from old books. When she saw his confused face, she switched to English. Her English was perfect but cold, like a machine talking. "My vessel, where is it?" "In my barn. It was damaged in the crash. Many parts are broken." The woman stood up. She was tall, taller than him. She walked to the window and looked outside. The sun was almost gone, just a red line on the edge of the world. When the last light disappeared, she seemed to relax. Her shoulders dropped. Her breathing became easier. "I need to see it," she said. "I need to leave this planet." T-Ho nodded. "I can take you to it, but first you should eat. You have been sleeping for a whole day." He led her to the kitchen. He had made simple food. Rice, soup, some vegetables from his garden. He put a bowl in front of her and waited. She did not touch it. "I am not hungry," she said. "Not for this." T-Ho did not understand what she meant, but he did not ask. Some questions were better left alone. They walked to the barn. The night was dark now, but she moved like she could see perfectly. Her feet made no sound on the ground. She was like a ghost walking beside him. When she saw her machine, she made a sound like pain. It was badly damaged. The crack on its side was bigger than T-Ho remembered. Wires hung out like broken veins. The strange lights were completely dead. "Can you fix it?" T-Ho asked. She touched the machine gently. "I do not have the tools. I do not have the parts. This world is too primitive." T-Ho felt a small flash of anger. Primitive. His father had built this farm with his bare hands. His grandfather had done the same before him. There was nothing primitive about hard work and honest living. But he pushed the anger down. She was scared and lost. People said stupid things when they were scared and lost. "Show me what is broken," he said. "Maybe I can help." She looked at him like he had said something crazy. You are a farmer. You grow plants in the dirt. How can you fix technology from another star? I fix tractors, Tiho said simply. I fix water pumps and engines and machines that have not worked in 20 years. My father taught me that every machine follows rules. Find the rules and you can fix the machine. She stared at him for a long time. Then something changed in her face. It was not a smile, but it was close to one. Very well, she said. I will show you. For the next 3 days, they worked together. She explained how the machine worked. It was called a skimmer, she said. It moved through space by bending reality around itself. The power came from a core that held a piece of a dying star. The controls were connected to the pilot's mind through a metal band. Tiho understood almost nothing, but he watched and listened and asked questions, and slowly he began to see patterns. The burnt wires were like the wires in a car engine. They carried power from one place to another. He replaced them with copper wire from his workshop. It was not perfect, but it worked. The cracked housing was like the shell of a motor. It protected the parts inside. He welded it with tools his father had left him, using metal from an old tractor door. The power core was still working, but it was unstable. She taught him how to balance it, how to move the pieces inside until the energy flowed smoothly again. You learn fast, she said one night watching him work, faster than I expected. Tiho wiped the sweat from his face. I have good teachers, my father, and now you. She looked away. Something crossed her face. Guilt maybe, or shame. He did not understand why. Why do you help me? She asked. You do not know me. You do not know where I come from or what I want. I could be dangerous. I could be your enemy. Tiho put down his tools. He thought about the question for a long time. My father once found a dog on the road, he said. It was hurt and mean. It bit him twice, but he brought it home anyway. He fed it and healed it. That dog lived with us for 12 years. It was the most loyal friend my father ever had. He looked at her. My father said you cannot know what something will become until you give it a chance to become it. She was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. Your father was a wise man. He was a farmer, Tiho said, like me. That night something changed between them. She started asking different questions, not about the machine or about Earth or about technology. She asked about him, about his life, about his family, about what it meant to be human. He told her about his parents, about growing up on this farm, about the loneliness that came after they died, about the way he talked to the rice plants sometimes, just to hear a voice in the empty fields. She listened to everything. Her strange eyes never left his face. Humans are strange, she said when he finished. You feel so much. You care so much, even for people you have never met, even for things that cannot love you back. Is that strange? Tiho asked. Where I come from, we care only for survival. We take what we need and we move on. Feelings are weakness. Connection is danger. That sounds lonely. She did not answer, but her eyes told him everything. Later that night, Tiho woke up suddenly. Something was wrong. He felt it in his bones before his mind understood. He opened his eyes and saw her standing over his bed. Her eyes were glowing, not just reflecting light, actually glowing bright and gold like two small suns. Her face was twisted with hunger. Her hands were shaking at her sides. I need, she whispered. Her voice was wrong, too deep, too rough. I need to feed. Tiho's blood went cold. He reached for the shotgun beside his bed. But before he could grab it, she turned and ran. The door slammed open. He heard her footsteps in the night, running into the darkness of the fields. He sat in his bed for a long time, his heart beating fast. What was she? What had he brought into his home? He did not sleep again that night. When the sun came up, she was sitting outside the barn, her head in her hands. She looked weak and small, not dangerous, just tired and sad and lost. She looked up when he approached. Her eyes were normal again, brown and human-looking, but he had seen what was underneath. "I need to tell you something," she said, "about what I am, about why I am really here." Tiho sat down beside her. He did not run. He did not grab his gun. "Then tell me," he said. And she did. Vila told him everything. She started at the beginning when her people were young and the galaxy was still dark and empty. The Noctari, she called them. That was the name of her kind. They were old, older than most stars. They had watched empires rise and fall across 1,000 worlds. But they were different from other beings. They did not eat food. They did not drink water. They survived on something else, something harder to explain. "We feed on life itself," Vila said. Her voice was quiet, like she was ashamed of the words. "Not blood, not flesh, but the energy that makes living things alive, the spark inside every creature that thinks and feels and dreams." Tiho listened without speaking. His face showed nothing. "When we feed," she continued, "we take a piece of that spark, a small piece. Most beings can survive it. They feel tired for a few days, weak and confused, but they recover." She paused. "If we take too much, they die." The morning sun was rising over the rice fields. Birds were singing in the trees. It was a beautiful day, but Tiho felt cold inside. "You are a vampire," he said. Vila nodded slowly. "That is what some species call us. Vampires, parasites, monsters." Her eyes were sad. "We have heard all the names." Tiho stood up. He walked a few steps away. He looked at his farm, at the land his family had worked for generations. He thought about his father and mother, sleeping in their graves on the hill behind the house. "Why are you here?" he asked without turning around. "On Earth, in my rice field, why?" Vila was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with guilt. "For 1,000 years my people had a home, a world at the edge of the galaxy far from other species. We survived by keeping livestock, not animals, but simple beings from primitive worlds. We took care of them. We fed from them slowly and carefully. It was not cruel, it was balance." She stood up too. She did not move closer to him. "But 50 years ago a coalition of species found our world. They called us evil. They said we had no right to exist. They came with ships and weapons and fire." Her voice broke. "They destroyed everything, our cities, our livestock, our children. They hunted us across the stars until only a few hundred remained." Tiho turned to look at her. Her face was wet with tears, but the tears were not red like blood the way vampires cried in stories. They were clear, human-looking. "My people are dying," she said. "We hide in the dark spaces between stars, starving and afraid. We need a new home, a new source of life to survive." Tiho understood now. The cold feeling in his chest grew stronger. "And you found Earth," he said. Vila nodded. "Your kind burns brighter than any species we have ever found. One human could feed a Noctari for months. Your world has 8 billion people. It is more than enough." She looked at the ground. "I was sent here to scout, to study your people, to see if humanity could be used." The word hung in the air between them. Used, like cattle, like food. Tiho's hands closed into fists. "And what did you decide?" Vila did not answer right away. She looked at the farmhouse, at the barn, at the fields where she had crashed. She looked at Tiho's rough hands and tired face and simple clothes. "I do not know," she whispered. "That is the truth. When I came here, it seemed simple. Humans were just another species, just another food source. But then I met you." She finally looked at him. Her eyes were full of confusion and something else, something that looked like pain. "You helped me without asking what I was. You worked for days to fix my machine. You gave me food you could not afford to waste. You talked to me like I was a person, not a threat." She stepped closer. Tiho did not step back. "My people have traveled across the galaxy for 10,000 years, she said. "We have met 100 intelligent species, but I have never seen anything like humans. You are weak. Your bodies break easily. Your lives are short, but you feel everything so deeply. You care about strangers. You build things for people you will never meet. You love things that cannot love you back. She reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was cold, but not as cold as before. I was supposed to see you as food, she said, but I cannot. You are something else, something I do not understand. Ti-Ho looked at her hand on his. He thought about everything she had told him. Vampires from the stars, a dying race looking for prey, 8 billion humans waiting to be farmed. He should be afraid, he should run, he should call for help. But he looked at her face and saw something his father had taught him to recognize. Not a monster, not a predator, just a lost creature far from home trying to survive. What happens now? He asked. Vila pulled her hand back. I need to send a signal to my people, to tell them what I found, but I have been silent for too long. They will worry. They might send someone to look for me. Will they be like you? She shook her head. Not all Noctari are the same. Some believe we should take what we need by force. Some believe we should hide and wait for the galaxy to forget us. She paused. And some believe we should find a way to live in peace with other species, to ask instead of take, to trade instead of steal. Which kind are you? Vila smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. It made her look almost human. I did not know until I met you, she said, but I think I am the third kind. They spent the rest of the day finishing the repairs on her skimmer. Ti-Ho worked while she talked. She told him about her childhood, about the world she lost, about the stars she had seen and the world she had visited. He told her about Korea, about the history of his people, about the wars and the peace and the strange beauty of a world that had known both. By evening the skimmer was almost ready. The lights were working again. The engine hummed with quiet power. A few more hours and she could leave. But she did not want to leave, and he did not want her to go. They sat on the roof of the barn, watching the stars come out, the same stars she had crossed to reach this world. Will you go back, Ti-Ho asked, to your people? Vila was quiet for a long time. I have to. They are my family. They are all I have left. And what will you tell them about Earth? She turned to look at him. The starlight made her eyes shine like silver. I will tell them the truth, she said, that humans are not food, that they are something new, something worth knowing. She paused. And that if my people want to survive, they need to find a new way, a better way. Ti-Ho nodded. He did not know if it would work. He did not know if her people would listen. But he knew that she would try. If you ever need help, he said, you can come back here. This farm is not much, but it is safe. Vila smiled again. This time the smile reached her eyes. You would invite a vampire into your home. Ti-Ho shrugged. You are not the scariest thing I have dealt with. Have you ever seen a tax inspector? She laughed. It was the first time he had heard her laugh. The sound was strange and beautiful, like wind chimes in a storm. But the moment was broken by a sound from above, a sound that made Vila's face go pale with fear. A new light appeared in the sky, then another, then 3 more. Ships coming down fast, coming straight for the farm. They found me, Vila whispered. Her voice was full of terror. Ti-Ho, you need to run, you need to hide. They are not like me. They will not ask questions, they will not care. But Ti-Ho did not run. He looked at the ships coming down from the stars. He looked at the woman beside him, trembling with fear. And he did what his father had taught him to do. He stayed. The ships landed in the rice field, 3 of them. They were bigger than Vila's skimmer, dark and sharp like knives made of shadow. Steam rose where they touched the water. The rice plants bent and broke under their weight. Ti-Ho stood on the barn roof and watched. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady. He had faced worse things than aliens. He had faced debt collectors and bad harvests and the death of everyone he loved. Fear was old and familiar. It could be ignored. Vila grabbed his arm. Please, you do not understand what they are, what they can do. Then tell me. Before she could answer, figures stepped out of the ships. They looked like humans at first, tall and pale and beautiful like Vila, but something was wrong with them. They moved too smoothly like snakes wearing human skin. Their eyes glowed in the darkness, red and gold and silver. There were 5 of them. 4 stood behind the 5th, waiting. The leader walked forward through the ruined rice field. His hair was white, long and straight. His face was perfect and cold like a statue carved from ice. He stopped at the edge of the farm and looked up at the barn. Vila, he called. His voice was soft but carried perfectly in the night air. We have been looking for you. Vila's grip on Tiho's arm tightened. Kale, she whispered, of all the ones they could send. Who is he? Someone I used to know, someone I was supposed to marry. Her voice was bitter. Before our world burned. Kale waited below, patient and still. Come down, Vila. We need to talk about your silence, about your mission, about why you have been hiding on this primitive rock for so long. Tiho stepped forward. She is not hiding, she was hurt. Her machine crashed. I have been helping her fix it. Kale's eyes moved to Tiho for the first time. The Noctari studied him the way a cat studies a mouse. Interesting. A human who speaks to his betters without permission. He smiled. His teeth were sharp. What is your name, little farmer? Tiho. Tiho. Kale tested the name like tasting something strange. Tell me, Tiho, do you know what we are? Do you know what Vila is? She told me. Kale raised an eyebrow. Did she? Did she tell you that we feed on your kind? That a single Noctari could drain your entire village in one night? That your species exists to us as cattle exist to you? Tiho nodded. She told me. And yet you help her, you protect her. Kale laughed softly. Humans truly are fascinating, like insects that do not know they are about to be stepped on. Vila moved in front of Tiho. He is under my protection, Kale. You will not touch him. Your protection? Kale's smile faded. You have been silent for 20 days, Vila, 20 days without a report. The council sent me to find you, and what do I discover? You living with a human, working beside him, defending him like he matters. His voice hardened. Have you forgotten what we are? Have you forgotten what they are? I have not forgotten anything, but I have learned something new. Vila stood straight and tall. She was not afraid anymore. Humans are not food, Kale, they are people. They think and feel and love just like we do. We cannot use them the way we use the others. Kale stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to the 4 Noctari behind him. You see, the scout has gone soft. She has fallen for the livestock. The others laughed. It was an ugly sound. Kale turned back to Vila. Your mission is over. You will return with us. The council will decide what to do with Earth. He looked at Tiho. As for the human, we will take him too. He has seen too much, and I am hungry. Vila moved before Tiho could react. She stood between him and Kale, her eyes blazing gold. You will not touch him. You would fight your own kind, for a creature that will die in 50 years anyway. Yes. Kale sighed. He looked almost sad. I loved you once, Vila, when we were young, when our world was still alive. I wanted to build a future with you. His face hardened. But you have become something I do not recognize. You have become weak. He moved. Tiho did not see it happen. One moment Kale was standing 10 meters away. The next moment he was on the barn roof, his hand around Vila's throat. She flew backward and crashed through the barn wall, disappearing inside. Kale turned to Tiho. Now then, let us see what makes humans burn so bright. Tiho did not run. He did not scream. He reached down and grabbed the tool he had hidden under a loose board, a metal rod connected to wires, a battery pack strapped to the side, something he had built in the last few hours while he and Vila worked on the skimmer. He had seen how energy affected the Noctari, how the power core of the skimmer made Vila nervous, how she avoided standing too close to it when it was active. So he had made something, a small thing, a stupid thing, a farmer's guess at alien technology. He pressed the button on the side. The rod lit up with blue fire. Electricity crackled along its length, bright and hot. It was not powerful, not really. Just a battery and some wires and a piece of metal from the skimmer's broken hull. But to Kale, it was like staring at the sun. The Noctari screamed and stumbled back, his perfect face twisted with pain and shock. "What is that? What did you do?" Tiho swung the rod at Kale's head. The Noctari was fast, faster than anything Tiho had ever seen. But he was also blinded by the light, confused by the pain. The rod caught him on the shoulder. The electricity burned through his flesh. He screamed again and fell off the roof. Tiho did not wait. He jumped down and ran into the barn. Vila was there trying to stand. Her face was bleeding silver blood. "Can you fly the skimmer?" he asked. "Not yet. It needs more time to charge." "How much time?" 10 minutes. Tiho looked outside. The 4 other Noctari were coming now. They were not as confident as before. They had seen what happened to their leader, but they were still coming. "Get in the skimmer," Tiho said. "Start the charging. I will give you 10 minutes. You cannot fight them. They will kill you." "Maybe," Tiho smiled. It was a strange smile, calm and peaceful. "But maybe not. Humans are stubborn, ask anyone." He grabbed a shovel from the wall, a bag of fertilizer, a can of gasoline. He started building things, traps, weapons, stupid human solutions to impossible problems. Vila watched him for a moment. Then she climbed into the skimmer and started the charging sequence. The next 10 minutes were the longest of Tiho's life. The Noctari were fast and strong and hungry, but they did not understand humans. They did not understand a species that had survived ice ages and wars and plagues. They did not understand spite. Tiho burned one with gasoline and a lighter. He buried another under a collapsing wall. He electrocuted a third with wires hidden in a puddle of water. But they kept coming, they kept healing, and Tiho kept getting slower. Kale found him at the end, lying in the mud beside the barn. The Noctari leader was burned and angry, his perfect face ruined by scars that were slowly healing. "Impressive," Kale said. "You are the first human I have met who fought back, the first who made me bleed." He leaned down and grabbed Tiho by the throat. "But it changes nothing. You are still prey." Tiho could not speak. He could not breathe. His vision was going dark. Then he heard a sound, a humming sound, growing louder. The skimmer rose from the barn, glowing with power. Vila was at the controls, her eyes blazing gold. "Let him go, Kale." Kale turned. His eyes went wide. "The power core," he whispered. "You would not dare." But she did. Vila pressed something on the controls. The skimmer's power core opened, sending a wave of raw energy across the farm. To humans, it was just light and heat and noise. To the Noctari, it was poison. Kale screamed and dropped Tiho. The other Noctari screamed too, falling to the ground, clawing at their eyes and skin. The energy burned them from the inside, overloading their senses, breaking their bodies. The wave lasted only seconds, but it was enough. When it was over, Kale and his hunters lay on the ground, weak and trembling. Their ships were dead, their systems fried by the pulse. Vila landed the skimmer beside Tiho. She stepped out and knelt beside him. "Are you alive?" Tiho coughed. Blood came out, but he smiled. "I think so. Are they dead?" "No, but they will be weak for days, long enough for me to take them away." She looked at Kale with cold eyes. "Long enough for me to decide what to do with them." Tiho closed his eyes. "Good, that is good." He passed out in the mud, surrounded by his ruined rice fields under the light of alien stars. But he was smiling, because he had won. Tiho woke up 3 days later. He was in his bed in his house on his farm. The ceiling above him was familiar. The smell of rice cooking was familiar. For a moment he thought everything had been a dream, a fever dream, a vision born from loneliness and too much barley tea. Then he tried to move, and pain shot through his entire body. Everything hurt, his ribs were cracked, his shoulder was twisted, his face was swollen and covered with cuts. He was alive, but barely. He turned his head slowly and saw her sitting by the window. Vila. She was watching the sunset. The light touched her face and made her skin glow faintly. She looked tired, old somehow, even though her face was still young and beautiful. "You are awake," she said without turning around. "What happened?" "You fought 5 Noctari with farm tools and won." She finally looked at him. There was something new in her eyes, something that might have been wonder. "That should not be possible. Humans are weak. Your bodies break easily. You should be dead 10 times over." Tiho coughed. It hurt. "Humans are stubborn, I told you." "Stubborn?" She said the word like she was trying to understand it. "Yes, I am beginning to see that." She stood and walked to his bedside. She sat in the chair where he had sat when she first crashed. The circle was complete. "Kale and the others are gone," she said. "I sent them back to our people with a message. I told them what I found here, what you did." She paused. "What you are." "What did you tell them we are?" "Dangerous," she smiled slightly. "Not because you are strong, but because you do not know how to give up. You do not know how to be prey." She looked at him with those strange golden eyes. "The Noctari have conquered 100 species. We have never met one that fights like humans do." Tiho tried to sit up. The pain made him stop. He lay back down, breathing hard. "Your injuries are severe," Vila said. "You lost a lot of blood. You are weak." "I will recover." "I can help," she hesitated, "but you may not want me to." Tiho understood. He remembered the night she had stood over his bed, hungry and shaking. He remembered the glow in her eyes, the way her hands trembled at her sides. "You need to feed," he said. She nodded slowly. "The energy pulse from the skimmer hurt me too, not as badly as the others, but enough. I am weak. I need life force to heal." She looked away. "I would not take much, just enough to survive. You would feel tired for a few days, but you would recover." Tiho thought about it. A vampire asking for permission, a monster seeking consent. It was strange, it was new. It was human. "Do it," he said. She looked at him with surprise. "You trust me, after everything I told you, after you know what I am." "You could have let Kale kill me, you did not." Tiho held out his hand. "That is enough." Vila took his hand. Her touch was cold at first, then slowly warm. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Tiho felt something strange. Not pain, not exactly. It was like a gentle pulling in his chest, like a small piece of warmth leaving his body and flowing into hers. He felt tired, heavy. His eyes wanted to close. But he also felt something else, a connection, a bridge between them. In that moment he understood what she meant by life force. It was not just energy. It was memory, emotion, will, everything that made a person real. And she felt it too. Vila opened her eyes suddenly. They were wet with tears. "I felt it," she whispered. "I felt you." "What did you feel?" She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "Loneliness, grief, a love for this land that goes deeper than bone." She looked at him with new eyes. "And hope, so much hope, buried under everything else but still burning, like a fire that refuses to die." She let go of his hand. The connection faded, but something remained, a thread between them that had not been there before. "Human life force is not just bright," Vila said. "It is warm. It carries pieces of the soul. When we feed on other species, we take only energy, but when I fed on you," she touched her chest, "I took pieces of who you are, and they became pieces of who I am." Tiho understood now why the Noctari hunted humans, why they crossed the galaxy for this planet. It was not just about survival. It was about something deeper. Connection. They were lonely, all of them. A dying race hiding in the darkness, starving and afraid. They had forgotten how to feel, how to care, how to love. But humans had not forgotten. Humans burned with it, every moment, every day. And now, for the first time in years, Vila remembered what it felt like. "What will you do now?" Tiho asked. Vila stood up. She walked to the window and looked at the sunset again. The light was almost gone. Night was coming. "I will go back to my people," she said. "I will tell them what I learned here, that humans are not food, that they are something new, something that can heal us in ways we never imagined." She paused. "I will tell them that we need to change, that we need to ask instead of take, that we need to build instead of destroy." Will they listen? Some will not. She turned to face him, but it is a start. Tiho nodded. He was very tired now. The feeding had taken more from him than he realized, but he did not regret it. "If you ever need a place to rest," he said, "you can come here. The guest room is always ready." Vila smiled. It was a real smile, the first truly human expression he had seen on her face. "A farmer who invites a vampire into his home." She shook her head. "Your species never stops surprising me. Wait until you meet a tax inspector." She laughed. The sound was still strange, still alien, but it was beautiful. They stayed together for 3 more days while Tiho recovered. She helped him around the house. She even tried to help with the farm work, though she did not know the difference between rice and grass. On the last night, they sat on the roof of the barn together, watching the stars. "I need to go," Vila said. "My people are waiting." "I know. I do not know when I will come back, or if I will come back at all." Tiho looked at the sky. Somewhere up there, among those countless points of light, her people were hiding, starving, afraid, waiting for someone to show them a better way. "Then go," he said. "Do what you need to do, change your people, save your species." He looked at her. "But remember what you learned here. Remember that kindness is not weakness, that helping a stranger is not foolish." Vila stood up. She looked down at him with those strange golden eyes. "I will remember," she said. "I will remember everything." She climbed down from the roof and walked to her skimmer. It sat in the field where the rice used to grow, clean and repaired and ready to fly. She stopped before getting in. "Tiho." "Yes." "In my language there is a word for what you did, for a person who helps without expecting anything in return, who fixes what is broken, who shows mercy to those who do not deserve it." She smiled. "There is no translation in Korean, but if there was, I think it would be your name." Tiho felt something warm in his chest. He smiled back. "In Korean, we just call that being a farmer." Vila laughed one last time. Then she climbed into her skimmer and flew up into the night sky. The ship became a point of light, then a streak of silver, then nothing at all. She was gone. Tiho sat on the barn roof for a long time, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, she was flying through the darkness, carrying pieces of his humanity with her. And somehow, he knew that she would be back. Not as a scout, not as a predator, but as a friend. In the morning, he walked to his rice fields and looked at the damage. The water was drained. The plants were crushed. Months of work destroyed in a single night. He should have been sad. He should have been angry. But instead, he just shrugged and grabbed a hoe. "Time to replant," he said to no one. Because that is what farmers do. That is what humans do. They fix what is broken. They rebuild what is destroyed. They keep going no matter how many times they fall. And somewhere in the distant stars, a vampire queen was learning the same lesson. Thanks to a farmer who never gave up.